was told to deliver this message. You think you're invincible because you got money, bombs, guns, and planes, killing babies, innocent people. I think you're insane. Chaos and destruction is the name of your game. Somebody's got to stop you before the whole world goes up in flames. So he told me to tell you, I'll fight
for my brothers. We can go to war. Fighting for my father, I will give my life for. I feel so alone in this white man's world. Whip it in the kitchen, watch that white turn pearl. Standing on the corner, standing on my phone. Standing with my gangsters, but I'm standing on my own. If you got to be alone, split you like you be alone. Sacrifice my life, understanding each his own. Toast to the keys of success. Bel Air rose on my breath. I've been a student since '03, and we can fight till we see peace.
I fight like that. 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 I fight like that.
Let me holler at you for a minute, give you game. Real scrappy, love the bottom, Buddha bang. Trigger happy, and everybody in the game. You shot your family and didn't even know it, man. Same rules, same code, with a different slang. Struck him out, now they took him out the picture frame. Mama, don't cry, we gon' get by. 2 weeks later, got killed in a drive-by. Go why? Must we fight amongst each other? Reach one, each one, teach one, my brother. I teach them how to fight on the grass and in the class. Snoop Dogg, all stars, yes sir, they coming fast. D1, football, we won. Now proud of my son, Lil Snoop, yes sir, cause he won. Right on, SC, fight on. We 100, keep it coming, dip, slip, slide on, light on.
I fight like that. 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 I fight like that.
Watching the warriors, the story of the rebels. You from the ghetto, did you know never to settle? I'm shooting common on the streets, I'm a pharaoh. Battling in African-American apparel. Fists on a t-shirt, youngins doing street work. Grinding till they teeth hurt, that's because they need work. Working till the feet hurt, trying to get my soul right. Used to be on old bikes, serving them that cold white. Wars in the winters, the block is hot in summers. Today's mathematics, we know it's strength in numbers. To the bosses and the runners, the hustlers and the stunners. We fight for the hundreds, we fight for the oneness.
He fights with the heat. He fights with the sleet. He said, I am who I am. I can't be beat. Nobody has won a war against me.
I fight like that. 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 I fight.
All of the nations of the earth as we speak are angry. They're angry because governments cannot suffice the needs of their people. They're angry because a few have gotten wealthy at the expense of the many. And the poor and the sick and the weak and the unlearned multiply. And the value of their lives are diminished by the rich and the powerful, so that when human life is devalued, that in the eyes of man you are unworthy of the gift of life. then it is easy for another human being to take the life of another human being that he or she has devalued. Black life in America is devalued. Hispanic life is devalued. Even poor white life is devalued. There's a way that I have to behave. I'm free, but I'm not free to rob you of yours. I'm not free to take from you what does not belong to me. So if I will construct my life according to these righteous principles, then between man and man, man and woman, peace. Between race and race, peace. Between rich and poor, peace. We have our beautiful Mexican family. This once was theirs. So you can't say to them they are aliens. That's a horrible word to use for former owners. I see my indigenous family here. Many tribes, but they're really one great nation of people that now must be reunited with themselves. So it's their time now, as well as ours, that God would intervene in our affairs and bring the bottom rail to the top. The government is not rehabilitating soldiers. When they send you away to kill. When you come home, they gotta reconstitute you for civilian life again. Make sure you have a job so you can take care of your family, but they're not doing it. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, a woman can do anything that a man does, and the only thing he forbids the woman to do is the thing that degrades her. So how high can you go? High as you want to. Why would God allow the female to wear his attributes if you can't be a manifestation of that attribute? Women, you got to be set free. What God has put within you must be cultivated, must be developed, and must be used for the advancement of a nation and a world. I said to myself, Mr. President, why the hell don't you go to the wicked police department? Why the hell don't you stand up and tell them that your killing of black youth and brown youth is not gonna hold no more? Why don't you stand up? God's world is in need of a truth that will set up a government where everybody can live in peace under real freedom, real justice, and real equality.
Develop the ability to act. Take action. Not hasty if it isn't required, but don't lose much time. Here's the time to act. When the idea is hot and the emotion is strong. That's the time to act. You say, Mr. Ron, I'd like to have a library like yours. See, if you feel strong about that, what you got to do is get the first book and then get the second book. Before the feeling passes and before the idea gets dim, action pronto, action immediate, action as soon as possible. Because if you don't, here's what happens. We call it the law of diminishing intent. We intend to when the idea strikes us. We intend to when the emotion is high. But now if you don't translate that into action fairly soon, now the intent starts to diminish. And a month from now, it's cold. A year from now, can't be found. So act. Set up a discipline when the emotions are high and the idea is strong and clear and powerful. That's the time to set up the discipline. Somebody talks about good health and you're stirred. Say, right, I need to get a book on nutrition. Get the book before the idea passes and before the emotion gets cold. Go for the book. Start the library. Start the process. Fall on the floor. Do some push-ups. Action. Got to take action. Otherwise, the wisdom is wasted. Otherwise, the emotion soon passes. Unless you put it into a disciplined activity. Capture it. Disciplines is called how to capture the emotion and how to capture the wisdom and translate it into equity. Disciplines. Now here's what's important about disciplines. All disciplines affect each other. In fact, here's a good philosophical phrase. Everything affects everything else. Nothing stands alone. Don't be naive in saying, well, this doesn't matter. I'm telling you, everything matters. There are some things that matter more than others, but there isn't anything that doesn't matter. Okay. We all pity the man who says, well, this is the only place I let down. Not true. Key to take home. Every letdown affects the rest of your performance. Every letdown affects the rest. This is part of the educational process on personal development. If you don't take the walk around the block, you probably won't do the apple a day. If you don't do the apple a day, you probably won't start building your library. If you don't build your library, you probably won't keep a journal, and you won't take pictures, and then you won't do this, you won't do wise things with your money, won't do wise things with your time, won't do wise things with your possibilities and relationships, and the first thing you know, 6 years of that accumulated, and we say you have messed up. So the whole key to reversing that process now is to start picking up these disciplines. Now here's the positive side. Every new discipline affects the rest of your disciplines. Every new one affects the rest. That's why action is so important. The least action, the smallest action. Take it. Because when you start accomplishing and the value starts to return from that one action, it'll inspire you to do the next one and the next one and the next one. You start walking around the block, it'll inspire you to get an apple. Get an apple, it'll inspire you to get a book. Get a book, it'll inspire you to get a journal. Get a journal, it'll inspire you to grow, develop some skills. All disciplines affect each other. Every lack affects the rest. Every new affects the rest. The key is to diminish the lack and set up the new. And you've started a whole new life process. Key. Also, one more thought on discipline. Here's the greatest value of discipline. Self-worth. Self-esteem. People are teaching self-esteem these days, but they don't connect it to discipline. The least lack of discipline, and it starts to erode our psyche. One of the greatest temptations is to just ease up a little bit, right? The slightest lack of doing your best starts to erode the psyche. Instead of doing your best, doing just a little less than your best. Sure enough. You say, well, it's just going to affect my sales. No, it's going to affect your consciousness. It's going to affect your philosophy. Now you've begun in the slightest way to affect your own philosophy. Here's the problem with the least neglect. Neglect starts as an infection. And if you don't take care of it, it becomes a disease. And one neglect leads to another. And the worst of all, when neglect starts, it diminishes our self-worth, our self-confidence, our self-value. You say, well, how can I get back my self-respect? I'm telling you, you don't have to go to 29 classes. All you have to do is start the smallest discipline that now corresponds to your own philosophy, like I should, and I could, and I will. No longer will I let neglect stack up on me so that I will have the sorry scenario 6 years from now, giving some excuse instead of celebrating my progress. That's the key to discipline. Okay? Let's get kids involved in the least of disciplines. One more, and then one more, and then another one, and then another one, and then some more. And the first thing you know, you're starting to weave the tapestry of a disciplined life into which you can pour more wisdom and more attitude and more strong feeling, more faith and more courage. Now you've got something, a vessel in which to put it. And now the equities start to flow. And the early return, I'm telling you, if you'll start this process, the early return will have you so excited. You'll commit yourself to this strategy for the rest of your life. You'll never go back to the old ways. Join a new crowd, join a new group. The disciplines to do, take action. I recommended the last time I was here, the little book, Richest Man in Babylon, and I said I've lectured now to over 3 million people in the last 33 years, and I've recommended this little book to almost all of them, I think. Guess how many have actually gone and got this little book? Answer, very few. My best guess is 10%. Such an easy thing to do. In that last seminar, right, I suggested this little book, number one, is easy to find. Number two, it's easy to buy. The most you can pay for it, $6, $7, $8. You can borrow that from your kids. And number three, it's easy to read. It's in story form. That's why I use it for teenagers, teaching them how to be rich by 40, 35 if you're extra bright, much sooner if you find a unique opportunity. But if it's easy to find and easy to buy, and if it's easy to read, why wouldn't everybody go get it? We don't know. What do you know? You don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. Here's how profound it is. Some do and some don't. Now here's the numbers. About 10% do. 90% don't or won't. We don't know the mystery of that. And I'm telling you, 10 years from now, those numbers will still be the same. 10% will, 90% won't. The numbers don't change. Only the faces change. You're looking at one of the faces. I used to belong to the 90% who couldn't be bothered even if it was easy. Guess how many people have a library card? Wisdom of the world available. Transform your life in any value amount you want. By the way, how much is a library card in Texas? Free. Here's what free is. Easy. I mean, it can't be any easier than free. Somebody says, well, would you bring it by? Well, no. At least you got to go get it. No. Wisdom of the world available. Transform your life spiritually, socially, personally, economically, and every other way. Teach you how to be rich and powerful and sophisticated and healthy, influential. How many people have a library card? Answer, 3%. 95, 97% couldn't be bothered. Guy specializes in happy hour, but he doesn't have a card. And now readily and quickly blames the government and blames his company and blames policy and blames the pay scale. When if he only knew, if he joined the 3%, here's my advice to you today. Walk away from the 97%. Don't talk like they talk. Don't act like they act. Don't go where they go. Don't specialize in what they specialize in. Throw away the blame list they cling to. Start you a new life. You say, well, is it as simple as getting a library card and join the 3%? And the answer is, of course. Of course. That's how easy this stuff is. This is so easy. It's so simple. It's not complex. You don't need a 2,000-year-old guru. You don't need multi-track affirmations. I'm telling you, don't. Affirmation without discipline is the beginning of delusion. Key. Don't let somebody sweep you into some contrary way to nature itself says, unless you labor. The miracle of the seed and the soil and the seasons and God and all the other stuff that's available, sunshine and rain, that's not available to you by affirmation. It is only available to you by labor. So labor well. Okay. learn well, discipline yourself well, and you can have all the treasures you want. This stuff's easy and simple. It's not ocean waves and seagulls. You don't have to move to Sedona where all the force fields come together in Arizona. Let's teach our kids the simple ways to transform their health, number 1, their economics, number 2, their ability to communicate, number 3, their life and treasure and lifestyle, number 4, spirituality, number 5, and the list goes on and on. Let's not leave out any of the least of disciplines that encourage us to do the next one, to do the next one, to do the next one. First thing you know, this whole scenario for you is spinning up instead of out of control on the negative side. This is all you got to do. It's as simple as this. It's as simple as a start, committing yourself to life change. And once you start down this road, I promise you, you'll join the 10% and the 3%. We're going to talk financial independence in just a little while. Guess how many people can retire from the income of their own personal resources when it comes time to retire? Answer, 5%. In the most independent country in the world, 95% are dependent, 5% are independent. Take charge of your own retirement. I'm telling you, if you take charge of your own retirement through personal development and all these skills we've taught today, plus what's coming up, financial independence, I'm telling you, take charge of your own retirement, you can multiply it at least by 5, maybe by 10, maybe by 20, maybe by 100. Let the government take care of it, some company take care of it, you got to divide by 5. Take charge of your own life, take charge of your own day, take charge of your own conversation, take charge of your own family, take charge of your own possibilities. And learn these skills, develop this kind of strategy, and I'm telling you, life will open up for you. Join the 3%, join the 10%, join the 5%, walk away from the 95%. In our Leadership Weekend, we teach, find out what poor people read and don't read it. Don't talk like they talk. Lend a helping hand, but don't fall into their poor philosophical scenario. Don't blame what they blame. Don't use the excuses they use. It's called the language of the poor. Switch gears, switch language, switch ideas, switch strategy. Start with the simplest of disciplines. And don't bemean any of these disciplines. The smallest of disciplines starts the process of life change. And if you'll invest in this thing called discipline, you can have whatever you wish. It's called the beginning of miracle. Now here's the last clue on discipline. Do the best you can. We covered earlier, but here's a good scenario for the do the best you can. I've got a good question for you. Is the best you can do all you can do? And the answer is no. Strangely enough. If we all fell on the floor right now and did as many push-ups as we possibly could, and let's say for some reason you haven't been into push-ups lately, I can't imagine why, but let's say the best you can do is 5. And you look up at the rest of us and say, hey, 5 is the best I can do. We can tell by the look on your face, that's probably true. 5 is the best you can do. Now, is 5 all you can do? The answer is no. If you rest a little, you can do 5 more. Wow. And if you rest a little, you can do 5 more. And if you rest a little, you can do 15 more. How did we get from 5 to 15? It's a miracle. And if you rest a little, you can do 15, rest a little, you can do 15, rest a little, you can do 20. How did you get from 5 to 20? It's a miracle. Did you know you can keep doing that? Do a little more, rest a little, do a little more, rest a little, and finally get up to 50 push-ups? Is it possible to get up to 50 push-ups? Of course. How do you go from 5 to 50? It's a miracle. How do you get a miracle going? Number 1, do what you can. Don't leave out what you can, from writing a letter to your mother in Florida. Start cleaning it all up. 2, doing the push-ups. Go from 5 to 50. It's a miracle. Number 1, do what you can. Number 2, do the best you can. Here's number 3, rest very little. Don't rest too long. Why? The weeds take the garden. Kids have got that figured out. Can't rest too long. Here's the clue. Make rest a necessity, not an objective. The objective of life is not to rest. The objective of life is to act. Think of more disciplines. Think of more ways and means in which to use your own wisdom and your own philosophy and use your own attitude, your own faith, your own courage, your own commitment, your own desires, your own excitement. Invest it, invest it, invest it, invest it in discipline so that it's not wasted. The smallest of discipline. Thereby transform your life. Join the 5%, join the 10%, join the 3%. Guess when I went and got this little book, Richest Man in Babylon? The same day I heard about it. I went and got it. Somebody says, well, Mr. Rohn, does that make you different than most other people? And the answer is yes. Somebody says, well, why is that? We don't know. We don't know. What do you know? You don't know. I don't know. None of us knows. Some do and some don't. The numbers don't change. Only the faces change. From those who get in on a seminar like this, listen to a dynamic sermon, read a book, listen to some cassettes, take seriously the next conversation of a friend who wants to level with you and do something about it. And you can walk away from the 97% and not live there anymore. Because if you don't, the next 6 years of your life will be like the last 6. Mr. Shope said to me, Mr. Rohn, 6 years now you've been working. I'm telling you, the next 6 years of your life is going to be like the last 6 unless you take advantage and start making these personal changes. I made the changes, totally revolutionized my life. So take a look at the next 5 years of your life. It's going to be like the last 5 unless you change. And if you will change, everything will change. Join the 5%. 10 years from now, the numbers are going to be the same. But I'm telling you, some faces in this audience can change and start showing up in the 3% crowd, in the 5% crowd, in the 10% crowd, and thereby dynamically affect your life and your future.
Start showing up. You show up, you can show out. Ready for Revolution. Welcome to another edition of Classes in Session. I hope you got something out of Brother Jim Rohn. I always do. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. I see all of us are in. Listen, you got that 5%, you have that 3%, you have that 10%, and he dealt with it on different variances. But the main thing was not to be satisfied with being a part of the 95%. You know, very critical, very key. You know, what develops us is our discipline. You know, yes, we dream, okay? But dream has to be associated with a desire, it has to be associated with determination, it has to be associated with the discipline in order to achieve what we dream. So welcome, good morning. This is our Good Friday, all right? No pun intended. This is our Good Friday because we get it in. We're very excited about what's to come in the next few days, really starting with today and through tomorrow. Oh man, just the whole doggone future is ours. The whole future is ours. If you were a part of the Empower Call last night with Cheryl Ann Gober, Brother Lucian Minton, Mr. Michael L. Dalco, and Mr. Ty Best, then you were a part of a walk through our future. Amazing, amazing, amazing as Wealth Builders Worldwide. So it's a blessing to see everyone. It's a blessing to see all of you here this morning. We're going to go through the housekeeping rules, but I want us to lean on a lot of the jewels and gems that were dropped by Mr. Jim Rohn, because, you know, discipline is involved in everything. Action is a requirement. We have to act. We have to move because, listen, this is where you have the ability to unite that precious asset of time with yourself. Because time does not begin without movement. Time begins when you move. Time begins when you act. And once you set the clock, you have to continue to act. You have to continue to move. You have to continue to make things happen. And when you get on the true wheel of motion, then you'll find what you attract. You know, you rev up, you gear up. You ever get a bunch of ingredients and mix it in a bowl, and as you mix it, it becomes smoother and more blended? Okay, just think about all the ingredients it requires to realize and build your dream. Just think about that, you know, and then put the action in place to blend it all together, to make it all happen, to realize it. These are the opportunities we have in front of us, and I don't want any of us to take it for granted. I don't want any of us to squander the moment. He said, you can master in happy hour, but you can't get a library card. That tickled me mainly because it was a blast from my own past. All right, y'all. Ground rules. Okay, pay yourself first. Have you paid yourself first lately? All right. Not only will your future thank you, but your future you will thank you, because what we have in store right now, 1/10 of a gram of gold saved every day will create a legacy free from want and free from lack. It'll free you from the 95% who sees the economy as its problem. You have the power to control that within your own home. If you're a wealth builder, if you're not a part of Karatbars International, you can gain the power to control it from your home by just signing up for your free gold savings account. Get back to the one who introduced this opportunity to you and let them know you're ready to get started. You're ready to learn more. They'll get you the link. They'll show you the overview. They'll walk you through the process. They'll help you see what we're going to see later into this morning. Because, yes, we're going to go see Sister Lakeisha McKnight, and we are going to go see Brother Kansu Otep Atom. Greetings, Brother Kansu. I see you on the stream. You know, we're going to see these great worthies later on this morning at the conclusion of this stream on their Facebook pages, respectively. But we're also going to join the Mighty Mighty Power Call, so you don't want to miss out on that. This is the event that we were talking about, Brother Kevin Millender. I'm sorry, got too excited. Tomorrow, you have 1 day left, folks. You have 1 day left to get the ticket. Tomorrow, July 11th, it just does what it wants to do. I'll keep it here. July 11th at 4 p.m. Eastern, Gold, a simple wealth building system. Tickets are $5. This is the Eric Touré Muhammad live event. You can go to Mr. Eric Touré Muhammad Facebook page to secure your ticket, or go to eventbrite.com and look for the Eric Touré Muhammad Live or Gold, a simple wealth building system. You're going to learn a lot tomorrow in a condensed period of time. Great multimedia, great draws of information, and we're really happy. We're really pleased with what we put together so far, and we've even rehearsed. Look, we don't waste anyone's time with this opportunity. We strive very hard not to waste anyone's time with this opportunity, because I know that what we put out in truth and in earnest, if it's good, if it's great, guess what's going to come back to us? The same goodness, the same greatness. So we strive to put out what we know, to earn and learn from what you know, and it keeps our community tight and strong. So today's the last day to secure tickets, or rather 1 day left to secure tickets. Today is Friday, so be sure to be a part of securing your ticket. Tuesday is the 90-day run to wealth, every Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern. Join that 90-day run. You can text your full name, email address, and the message 90 to 404-246-5708. Please subscribe to the Eric Touré Muhammad YouTube channel. You can gain a lot of information there. All the previous sessions that were categorized and finally released, those have been released. Different wealth building presentations and events, orientations, fast track trainings, along with our power calls and freedom calls and special events. You can find, we already determined that Sister Falami exists, right? You can find her on that page in the interview we did with Brother Finest and Sister Yolanda Parkinson and Brother Greg McKay on the power of married couples in Karatbars. It was a great, great, great event. People were still looking for it. Well, that's where it is. All right, so let's be sure to get there. All right, let's continue to unpack. Let's continue to think about the things that require our discipline. What does not require discipline? What does not require discipline? Everything and everyone has a measure of discipline to enact. It's fact. It's fact. We all require discipline. You know, we all require discipline. Okay, here's the screen. I saw it come back. You know, the system here is having a senior moment, but I want to share it nonetheless. The way to change the nature of our experiences is to change the nature of our thoughts. All right, all of our Wealth Builders Worldwide WBW online events, regular events occur consistent events occur on goldrocks.info, www.goldrocks.info. You might want to screenshot that screen, so in case there's a dial-in number you want to grab, you can grab it. But at 10:45 a.m. is the Mighty Mighty Power Call. This is our Freedom Friday. Mr. Rodney Berger, he may be back from his staycation, and hopefully he'll be presenting today. This is our Pay Ourselves Friday. Also, at 12 noon and 9 p.m., we have our live events, our live event presentations, live wealth building presentations. You bring everyone to this platform that you want to introduce the opportunity to. We can relearn, recommit, rehash, and we can re-enter the world of wealth building. You never really want to miss a live event in anything we do, and you never want to really miss the live wealth building presentations, because there's so much new coming down the pipe each and every week now in the world of Karatbars. You want to find out what's next. Many of us on the stream, we found out last night we're rich. Sure. We're wealthy. So listen, you want to plug in and be a part, okay? And so keep that in mind. We did talk about the financial run to wealth. And this is a busy Friday in the world of Kalfani Radio. And if that stream becomes available, here we go. All right. Kalfani Radio, international network. No media network has done more to globally elevate the culture and philosophy of wealth builders worldwide than Kalfani Radio International Network. In fact, I always say it. So 4 p.m., we have Sister Tyson Thompson. That's right. Financial Freedom Fridays with Tyson Thompson, I believe, is the sister mentor. Sister Alicia, are you her guest today? I want to say that I saw that. I'm not quite sure. Maybe I'm trying to will it into existence, but I'd be very, very happy to see. So all of us, all roads lead to the Kalfani Radio Facebook page, Kalfani Radio International Facebook page. You have Sister Tyson Thompson at 4 p.m. with Financial Freedom Fridays. At 8 p.m. this evening, you have Sister L. Ruby Bay and Collective Enlightenment. That team will be there discussing everything from the world of crypto to the world of life. I mean, they're a very eclectic but profoundly loving and nurturing group and program. You want to check it out at 8 p.m. today on Kalfani Radio. And of course, at 9 p.m., Spotlight with Brother Carlito. And he'll be there. I don't know his guest for the evening, but you know it's going to be fire because he doesn't come with anything less than that. So Kalfani Radio International Network deserves all of our support all the time. And then, of course, on the 25th of this month, you have the program sponsored by Kalfani Radio International in honor of Wealth Builders Worldwide founders, Mr. and Mrs. Ty and Valerie Best. They will be a part of it. It's a talent appreciation showcase and poetic runway. Okay, poetry, spoken word, and fashion appreciation showcase featuring comedian Willie Brown, Woody, and Uncle Rufus. Special guest appearances by North America's #1 Karatbars affiliate, Miss Cheryl Ann Gober. That's right, Miss Cheryl Ann Gober, Mama Bear herself. We had a great conversation last night after the power call. After the power call. Check out what she said. I was so rocked, I had to quote it publicly. She said, I can wish you rich. I can wish you wealthy, but I can't make you follow the map. Woo! Boom! Just when you think it might be may not be as significant or not important, the #1 affiliate, the first affiliate in North America, Cheryl Ann Gober, with more than 700,000 people under her charge. When I say charge, I mean within her organization. She follows the map. We can do no less, folks. Success is, and I repeat, success is the study of the obvious. The study of the obvious. So big ups to Cheryl Ann Gober. Thank you so much for that share and that drop of that nugget. She dropped a bunch of nuggets last night, but that's the one I caught. I caught that one and shared it. I absolutely caught that one and shared it. It was a tremendous nugget. Tremendous. Hey, Sister Pam Dixon. Good morning, Brother Jamal. Good to see you. Roz Range. If you don't have range, you don't have Roz. Deb Nixon in the house. Sister Debbie, thank you for all your support. Give Brother Ken our love and greetings. Yeah, Sister Denise, how we doing, Queen? Freedom in the house, freedom in the house, freedom in the house. You know, I mean, we have a lot. We have a lot in store for the world. And a lot of what we shared yesterday was a result of knowing what we have, but helping to satisfy or encourage the understanding of where the mindsets are. And it doesn't just apply to us. You know, when we talked about Dr. King, we listened to Dr. King yesterday, and we listened to him talk about the economic strife and the disparities and the insufficient funds check that was returned by America, making a promise. Here we are now. Think about this. Here we are almost 50 years later, almost 60 years later. And we still have an America bouncing checks. Bouncing checks. You know, you're going to see something of the history of America with other nations, how they got their gold, how they stole their gold, and how they lost the gold, how they try to revamp on securing gold. And now you see the discussions and you hear the discussions of cryptocurrencies, right? They're in discussion. We're in the future. They're talking about the possibility of tying crypto to an asset. We have already done it. They're talking about maybe possibly gold. We have gold. And it's available for millions of people around the world, honest people around the world in Karatbars International. So yesterday spoke to everything from the issues of Black people, the issues of white people, those of us still in the range of the Appalachians, still very poor and destitute white communities there that have been ignored. And remember the Rust Belt? The Rust Belt that came out in the droves to vote for Mr. Trump. Do you know that 85% of all white women voted for Trump, and they're the biggest voice now in discouragement? You know, it should never be about the issue of race. It should never be about the issues of ethnicity when you're talking about leadership and when you're talking about guidance. All right. Look at the word leadership. It's a compound word, leadership. Okay. A ship is a vessel. Is that which transports you safely from one end to the other, from one entity to the other, from port to port, right? But on that ship, it has to be led. It has to be led. Someone has to guide the rudder. Someone has to do those things that moves it forward with the proper navigation, with the proper nautical skills in order to achieve or arrive at its destination. So a leadership is responsible for all that's included on the ship. So, Diane Ship, Sister Pam Dixon, we always refer to the ark, right? Because if you remember, the ark in the days of Noah, it didn't leave ground. It was built on the land and stayed there on the land. And while everybody else partied and did their whatnot, the flood came, and those who understood and heard the commandment and heard the call jumped on the ark, and it created the buoyancy where they remained safe, a place of refuge, until it was time to exit the ark on newly established land. That's where we are with Karatbars. That's where we are in this great wealth transfer. And this is where it is for you and I. But do we have, I always like to call it the oomph, all right? But do we have within us the desire, the determination, and the discipline? Do we have the humility to recognize that there's someone greater than our suffering? There is something greater than our current existence, and there's possibility that we can be more and do more, but we have to do. Jim Rohn said, if I do 5 push-ups and take a break, can I come back and do 15? Can I come back after another break and do 50? You know, what's the thing here? Consistency, discipline will produce more in everything. Are we willing to discipline ourselves to do all that must be in order for us to be all that we need to be? Real talk, just things that we really need to consider. Things we really, truly need to consider. Yep, that's right. The ark held its ground, Sister Pam, didn't it? Hey, I know a lot of people don't like to hear of Brother Bill Cosby as much, and I do have my own take on where he is and how he got there. He put out some tremendous work that should not be ignored. I don't want us ever to throw out the baby with the bathwater. All right. Research an album, a comedic album that Bill Cosby did. In that album, he talked about Noah building the ark and how people just laughed at him, you know. He said, man, why are you building that ark? And he had measurements. God gave measurements by which it needs to be built. And he dropped so much truth in that presentation, you know. By tomorrow morning, hopefully I'll have the name of that album for you to research. But a tremendous talent with a tremendous voice and a lot of wisdoms, you know. So this is where we are, folks. We have to develop that discipline. And I'm going to tell you what else requires a discipline. Forgiving. Forgiveness requires discipline. It does. Okay. Well, who do you forgive? Well, let's start with ourselves. Okay. Let's start with ourselves. I really hope you're a part of tomorrow's presentation at 4 p.m. I really hope all of us are part of the earlier presentation with Dr. Robert Mueller at 2. I have my tickets there, and then I'll be moving on for the presentation at 4. We have to learn to forgive ourselves. I mentioned Dr. Mueller as well as tomorrow's presentation because I was thinking about this segment. There's a strong, very strong component about charity. Very strong component about charity. Charity in the scripture says begins at home, then spreads abroad, right? And we've heard that a lot. But it seems to always be divorced from the call for charity in our spiritual senses. We're not encouraged oftentimes in our houses of worship when we were attending them to shore up our homes, you know, because it wasn't something that was taught to us. I'm talking about blacks in particular now. It wasn't something that was taught to us directly because we weren't supposed to know about religion. We weren't supposed to know how to read. We weren't supposed to know how to interpret scripture. It always depended upon the religion of fear imposed upon us by our then enemies and so-called slave masters, right? Now, when you look at the general populace of society, there was a time where none of that building the home first was encouraged other than by physical labor. Like if you physically built the home or if you physically repaired something in the home, but never talk about developing the wealth of a home because it was almost sacrilegious to talk about prosperity. So yes, it came up last night in Power Call where it was mentioned that portion of the scripture where the poor will always be amongst us. This is true, but you don't have to be that poor. That could be somebody else. And if you really understand where that charity begins, if it begins at home, it begins with you. The first charitable act when you're awakened is forgiveness. forgiving yourself for something you had no control over. Hey, Sister Trish Mitchell, because forgiving yourself for that which you had absolutely no control over. When you look at your life and how it spiraled into anything that might have been deemed unbecoming or anything that could have been done better after knowledge. See, before knowledge, you're not responsible for any of it. There's no sin on you before knowledge. However, when we wake up to what would make us better, what will make us whole, when we wake up to a responsibility that belongs to us as a people, then we have to act. When we don't act once we know, then we position ourselves, as Brother Steve X used to always tell us, we nullify our right to exist. Forgive yourself first for what you did not know. Ask God to make you as hard as the time so you can act on that which you do know, and then move accordingly. Move accordingly. Now, that charity, we tithe to our spiritual centers. We tithe to our houses of worship. And I'm not saying that we should not do that. And I'm not saying that we should not consider giving to our institutions that help to develop us and make us whole. Okay? However, this pandemic has proven one thing. It has proven that we have all fallen short in the glory of God. All of us, whether we Muslims, Christians, Jews, no matter what the faith tradition, we have all fallen short. Why? Because we're fallible by nature. Okay? There are things that we're not going to always do correctly. But the key to all of it is doing. When you pay yourself first, that is the first of financial charitable acts. That is the first act of forgiveness. You're offering compensation, you're offering yourself reparation. Because there are things that we could have done better ourselves, and because we did not do better by ourselves, then we owe ourselves. Pay yourself first and watch everything else fall in order, including the charity abroad. You take care of this vessel, this house first. Home, right? Home, your domain, your kingdom. Yes, Sister Pam. Sister Minister Pam said charity is another word for love, and we must love ourselves before we can love others. It must forgive all, including ourselves. Family, can't put it no better than that. Can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. I'm going to end it on that because, hey, she gave it. She gave it. So, yes, family, it's been an honor and a pleasure. We have a tremendous week, and it's not over because tomorrow we not only have our 8 a.m. session here tomorrow morning. I think you're going to find it fire. But we also have two special events. The first one is at 2 p.m. That's Dr. Robert Mueller, the tax expert, speaking to wealth builders and all that are interested in understanding the powers of a home-based business and knowing the tax protocols that are involved, especially entering the world of crypto. It's a $9.99 event. That event ticket can be found at www.wbwevents.com. www.wbwevents.com for Dr. Robert Mueller's tax session, hosted by Wealth Builders Worldwide. And you will find also speaking Doctors David and Rhonda Hollins. I don't have that presentation. That's why you don't see it there. However, It'll be posted on all of our timelines immediately after conclusion of this broadcast, as I did yesterday. And then, of course, we have 1 day left. This is Friday. The event is tomorrow. I'm urging all of you to be a part of the Gold, a simple wealth building system. Thank you so much for many of you who have supported it, and make it available to others. Make it available to others, because we're going to show you by God's grace and permission many of the tenets, simple tenets of wealth building, and it will build your teams. It will build your teams. We have a way through multimedia in this world today. We have a way through technology today that allows us to move a lot more efficiently and effortlessly towards getting people to see the truth of wealth building, to see the truth of Karatbars. Thank you, Dad Nixon. www.wbwevents is the space to get your ticket. The $9.99 ticket for Robert Mueller. That's at 2 p.m. tomorrow. And then, of course, our session begins at 4 o'clock tomorrow. And our session can be found, our session can be found at eventbrite.com. Gold, a simple wealth building system. Admission is $5, or you can visit the link for the events on Mr. Eric Toure Muhammad Facebook page. Please get your tickets. All right. And we have Sister Lakeisha McKnight, who's already started her presentation. I will be there. And then I'm moving from there to get to my brother Kansu and hear what he's going to drop, what jewels he'll be dropping today. And I'll get to the power call at 10:45. All right. And family, again, it's been an honor, a privilege, a pleasure to be with all of us in this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Good Friday, on this wonderful, wonderful Good Friday. I'm typing here. 1 second. Okay. I just want to type the full name of the Facebook page where you can find the tickets for our 4 p.m. event tomorrow. All right, family. It's been a joy, a privilege, a pleasure. I will see us all again on the next several live streams of the day. I don't think I'll be doing another live stream today. I'm just too excited and trying to get ready for tomorrow. And hey, all I can say is peace and power. And for all of us, I will see us on the other side of money. Forward.
Peace. Strong words. Love. Soul. And change. Yeah. This is Big Snoop Dogg. Coming at you live and direct. And I got something to say. You did?
Let's change the world. Divided we fall, but united we stand. Let's change the world. No fights, no wars. Oh, let's learn to love again. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Whoa, oh, oh. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.
Brother, what will you discover if we come together and do it like we never? I'm just sick and tired. I'm fit to light the fire. Now put this on the wire. The devil is a liar. I do this with no hesitation. Meet me at the reservation. Elevating, educating, meditating, concentrating. Replenisher, finisher, opposite of sinister. And I do it for the minister.
Let's change the world. Divided we fall, but united we stand. Let's change the world. No fights, no wars. Oh, let's learn to love again. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Whoa, oh, oh. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.
Somebody need to stop the war. Man, the war ain't overseas, it's at your front door. And I done seen too many brothers shot up on the floor for more than drugs and some colors. And now you call us warlords. But if you can help it, then help it. But you ain't helping us. You so selfish and selfless, you wanna see us breathless and helpless. But I'ma hustle and tussle for all my brothers who struggle. Yeah, we bang the world. Now let's change the world.
Let's change the world. Divided we fall, united we stand. Let's change the world. No fights, no wars. Oh, let's learn to love again. Let's change the world. 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 Let's make hope for the future.
No killing, no shooting, no dying, no lying, no gang banging, so no more mamas crying. Everybody get along, man, that be the perfect song. Peace in the streets as I sit back on my phone, chilling with the president. He let me in the White House, back to the castle with the minister, no doubt. Shoes at the front door, love is what you come for. Let's get it right and unite, but do it right.
Let's change the world. Divided we fall, but united we stand. Let's change the world. No fights, no wars. Oh, let's learn to love again. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Whoa, oh, oh. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.